In this video, I want to talk about one of my favorite RPGs of the last 10 years that has gotten a resurgence on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and now a Nintendo Switch version will be released in just under 2 weeks, and that is Kingdoms of Amalur, with this version being the Ray Reckoning version. It was originally released as Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. It was a fantastic open-world action RPG that unfortunately never got the buzz that I felt like it should. The people that played it absolutely loved it. Unfortunately, didn't do well enough commercially to really see the light of day for a sequel and for it to be a persistent franchise or anything like that. Honestly speaking, if you look at the history of the game, had some financial turmoil attached to it. Thankfully, THQ Nordic did come out, they acquired the rights to it, and they remastered the game as Kingdoms of Amalur: Ray Reckoning. The PlayStation 4 version was excellent, and now we're going to be able to take the game on the go and have it on a Nintendo platform in general, with Kingdoms of Amalur: Ray Reckoning being released on the Switch. Now, if you are unfamiliar with what the game is, it's an open-world RPG. And maybe if you've played some open-world RPGs, you might be thinking of A Witcher or some other titles that are a bit slower paced and have some tactical gameplay and things of that nature. Kingdoms of Amalur: Ray Reckoning is a very, very fast-paced open-world action RPG. I remember when I originally played the game, the first thing that really stood out to me playing it was the gameplay. It was super fast-paced and it was heavily action-oriented. I saw some comparisons of people, talking that it was God of War, Devil May Cry, and I don't think it was that crazy, but it was definitely more high octane than your average open world RPG, being a little bit slower paced. Kingdoms of Amalur was balls to the walls crazy action. Now, it should be noted that it was action heavy and it was a very enjoyable game from a gameplay standpoint. Would I say that it had the most compelling narrative in the world? Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's on the level of some of the RPGs of recent years that have been very gripping from a story standpoint. This is not Mass Effect, I don't think, or at least the original trilogy, but there are elements of the story that, I enjoyed, but I was definitely not super invested into the characters. However, from a gameplay standpoint, customizability standpoint, it was such an excellent game. You can build your own character, you can play how you want to. The destiny system was really good, and there was quite a combination of melee attacks and then magic attacks as well, and it always kept me coming back for more, in the sense that I never got bored of playing the game. It was an addicting game, and it was such a fun game to just be in the open world and get into combat that I always had a blast playing it. And with this version, you get the DLC, you get the base game that was already good, obviously improved a little bit from a visual standpoint. We'll see how the transition to the Nintendo Switch works, but I imagine it's going to make a relatively healthy transition. And also, what's pretty incredible about Kingdoms of Amalur: Ray Reckoning, you don't often see this, but this is a game from 2012. It was re-released in 2020 for PS4 and Xbox One. Now it's coming to the Nintendo Switch, but it's also coming out with a brand new DLC expansion in Fatesworn. That'll be coming out sometime later this year, I believe sometime in the fall, but that is going to be adding a significant amount of gameplay to the game. Does that mean we're opening the door for the potential of a follow-up title sometime in the future, Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning 2? I mean, I'd be all for it. I think the game would do really well, and I feel like there's a healthy level of buzz with KOA, especially when it comes out on Switch, when another group of people play the game. And let's see how the Fatesworn expansion does. If that's received well, then I think the shackles can really come off on the potential of a Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning sequel, and I think it would do very well. I mean, if you're building a new game for an audience with, relevant visuals and all that good stuff, I think it could do really well. Maybe it would have to be a title that couldn't be released on the Nintendo Switch, and it would be like, I don't know, a Switch Pro title, Nintendo Switch 2 title, whatever the case may be. Even if we do get a sequel, that's probably far away. However, if you are a fan of open world action RPGs, if you're a fan of games with great gameplay, I implore you, keep Kingdoms of Amalur on your radar. I think for the people that don't know this is coming out, this is going to be one of the more surprise releases for you that is dropping in under 2 weeks. And I noticed that there's not a lot of buzz for the Switch version of this game, maybe because it already came out on PS4 and Xbox One, and now, you're getting it, 6 months later, and generally speaking, when that happens, there is a little bit of the buzz diluted because the game already exists on other platforms. But I'm telling you guys, if you did not play the game, if you never played the game, you're in for a treat with Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. Yes, I might be shilling for the game because I liked it so much. I want it to sell really well. I want Fatesworn to do really well, and then ultimately, I would like a sequel. But THQ Nordic has been doing a really good job with these remasters, picking relevant games, picking games that maybe A lot of the gaming community didn't know they wanted with a SpongeBob Bikini Bottom rehydrated, but hey, that game did well. Kingdoms of Amalur is a game that I've been wanting to see remastered for a long time. Maybe it wasn't at the top of the priority list for everybody, you know, in the gaming community or anything like that, but it's a game that's really good, and I'm happy to see it succeed, and I'm hoping that the Switch version does get the attention that it rightfully deserves. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Have you ever played Kingdoms of Amalur? Are you going to be checking out Ray Reckoning? It will be released at a $39.99 budget price point, so that's a very, very compelling price. Sound off with all of your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.